and this is episode 19 of the Lifestyle Entrepreneur Podcast. And I'm excited for my next guest, Alicia Dunams, who's going to teach us how to write a bestseller and really be able to establish yourself as an expert by getting your book published. And I'm really excited to bring Alicia on the line with this training today because she's one of the biggest reasons that I got my podcasting book published and I was able to hit #1 best-selling author in 3 categories in Amazon within 5 days. So definitely pay attention to this interview. She's got some great insights for you on how to really help you get your book out there, because if you're like me, I know it can be a huge task, daunting, that you just keep putting on the back burner like I did literally for months. And people probably are asking you, when's your book coming out? When are you going to get it out there? And this is going to be hopefully an episode that's really going to help you hone in and focus in on what you need to do to get your book out there. And then definitely join us over on the blog to learn more about how you can connect with Alicia to take it to the next level. Welcome to the Lifestyle Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Kris Gilbertson, and I'm an author, speaker, and a coach to teaching you how to launch your own successful podcast. And the reason I designed this show is to bring you the top lifestyle entrepreneur experts from all over the world for them to share their key strategies that they've used to launch their own businesses and allow them to live life on their own terms. So tune in every Friday for new episodes and come on over and join the Lifestyle Entrepreneur community at www.lifestyleacademy.com. There you're going to receive VIP training from specific guests from the podcast, along with being able to watch all of the interviews. And I'll also be making it really easy for you to implement these strategies that you're hearing by sending you what I like to call the Lifestyle Cliff Notes on the best of the best lessons learned on the podcast. So let's get started. All right, so before we get started with the show, I just want to thank everyone who is subscribing and leaving awesome reviews in iTunes. I'm so excited that people are enjoying these interviews. And I'm excited to announce First Fridays. So what I'm going to be doing the first Friday of every month, we're going to have a raffle for those of you that have subscribed to the podcast and then also left a review. And it'll be a raffle for $25 gift cards from iTunes, Amazon, eBay, all over the place. So all you simply need to do is just subscribe to the podcast in iTunes and then leave us a review and your name will go in a hat and we'll announce that the first Friday of every month. And another awesome shout out for our amazing listeners. So this one goes out to Lames42. Said podcasting process made simple. A lot of folks give tips and tricks, but Kris brings systematic, applicable processes that you can apply to your business from day one. Listen to episode 1 and I dare you to not get something actionable from it. So awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in and I cannot wait to get into today's episode. So welcome. I'm so excited for this episode today to introduce you to Alicia Dunams. She's an author, expert, speaker, and trainer, and she teaches you how to take your story and be able to craft your own book and become a published best-selling author. She's the creator and founder of Bestseller in a Weekend, which teaches you how to become a best-selling author in 3 days or less. And it's incredible because her results with her clients have been phenomenal. She's had clients featured on 2020, on CNN, on the cover of the New York Times magazine. And it's all because of what they learned from her and how they were able to leverage their story and their book. So today we're going to dive in deep with Alicia to get all the best nuggets about how to get a book out there and have a blast doing it. So welcome, Alicia. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
Wonderful, Kris. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'd love for you to get started for maybe people that don't know about you yet, about your story, how you got started as an entrepreneur, launched your business, and then how you've been able to help so many authors. I mean, literally thousands of experts launch their business through their books.
Oh, wow. We're going back some years here. So I've been doing this for about 5 years. I've been a publishing consultant, and I learned how to become a publishing consultant and how to self-publish by writing and publishing my own book back in 2007. Now, the title of my book is Goal Digger, Goal Digger, Lessons Learned from the Rich Men I Dated. And it was really kind of my story on how I basically created the lessons I learned and turned it into a self-help book for women about making your own money. Don't have to marry a millionaire, you can make your own money. But that's the short story. It's a really long story actually that I'll go into over a drink. But basically that's kind of how I started my business. As I was a publishing consultant, But when I wrote my book, I realized that I spent almost $30,000 writing my book, with the writing and the publishing and the figuring out the mistakes, and also a publicist. I paid a publicist like $5,000 a month, and I saw out of that, other than getting some radio and TV, I didn't see that I was making money. And I was like, well, I just invested almost 30 grand and I'm not making any money. And so I quickly had a course correct and figure out, how am I going to make money? And so what I did was I leveraged my book to get speakers for a seminar that I did called Wealthy Girl Summit. And I got people like Laurel Langmeyer and Marcy Shimoff, New York Times bestselling authors, to say yes and speak at my event. And they didn't know me from Adam. Really, all I had was a book. And I would say, oh, I'm the best-selling author of this book, and I want to do courses on wealth creation for women. And they said yes. So I saw there was a lot of power in that even at that point, I was able to leverage a book. Now, back in 2007, I was just getting on Facebook. There wasn't really social media. I mean, Twitter was like 2007, 2008. Yeah. And so it was really, my book was a way for these people with significant lists and significant platforms to say yes to me and to speak at my event. And so from there, how I started my business in Bestseller in a Weekend is I had speakers. I had 13 speakers at this event, and several of the speakers didn't have books, and they asked me, hey, you wrote your own book. Can you help me with my book? And I did that. I started with one-on-one consulting, and then I changed to a more scalable model, which is called Bestseller in a Weekend, where I'm able to help thousands of people write a book in record time and use that book to not only become a bestseller on Amazon and trend in their categories and really be and appear where their target audience is, but also to create a six-figure business and beyond as a published author.
Oh, wow. It's phenomenal. It's so exciting how that's evolved. And I love how you took action and your business has just evolved every single step of the way into creating this into a scalable business for yourself. So I'd love for you to share some of the benefits besides what people know of, your book being your business card, of what are the other benefits that have been able to help some of your authors explode their business because of their book.
Absolutely. Well, there's so many reasons why people write a book. I have 10 hot ones, which are to establish credibility in their industry. I interviewed the CEO of Method, which is a kind of a household cleaning product. And he said that because he wrote his book, he was able to distribute his product internationally. It just gave him that credibility that he could put that book on people's desks, on buyers' desks. Number two would be public speaking. I have one of my clients is the founder of Barefoot Wine, and they wrote their business book as a way to get out there and get keynote speaking opportunities.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Now, do you think there's better niches for people to monetize, or should everybody have a book?
Oh, I think everyone should have a book. If you are a service provider, if you are a product-based entrepreneur, if you're a speaker, if you're an online marketer, internet marketer, if you're an expert, those are the types of people to have a book. If you create a nonfiction book, if you're looking to be found online, because it's all about discoverability. I have a presentation where I show that my clients who've written a book, they are found on the first page of results on Google for the title of their book, because again, Google is going to bring back results. If there's a book with the keywords in it, which I teach during my weekend, they'll bring that back as a result. So if you want to be found on Amazon, which is the #1 buyer search engine, if you want to be found on Google, you definitely want to write a book.
Oh yeah, you're partnering with a huge 800-pound gorilla that just shoves you to the top, which just is by default, really, when you do it right. And I know you teach that, which is phenomenal. So what about, this is my question, because I know a lot of the people I train and coach, and I'm sure you experience this too, for new experts that don't quite feel they're the expert yet, or, I know I struggle with this, and I know a lot of other people are. What do you suggest for them to get a book out there? Because it really is the platform to launch you to get started. So what are your suggestions on that?
I work really well with people who are new experts or who are starting. I always say you might have a 9 to 5, but some people want to have a 5 to 9 as well, where you're working a day job during the day, but you're looking to become an online marketer, or you're turning your hobby maybe into a business. And I have an expert formula that I teach people, that you become an expert, first of all, by defining who your target audience is and how you help them. But also you can become an expert by interviewing other experts, by being the curator of other people's content. And that's a way to align yourself with them and to become an expert as well. So you don't have to be like, I'm an expert, I'm already speaking, I'm already on TV, because a book is a way for you to get on TV and to get speaking. But a way to become an expert is a process. And once you say, you know what, this is where I'm going, this is who I am, and then step into that realm, it's very much like ownership. This is my space. Once you do that, and a book is a great way to solidify that.
That's brilliant. And that's literally what I did. How I launched my business is interviews based on that. Because I knew I had a lot of knowledge, but I hadn't honed in on exactly what the focus was yet. And that's one of the most brilliant ways to be able to do that, is to leverage other people's credibility, because you have great content. People are searching for them. You're going to get found. You become by default the expert as well. So that's brilliant. Now, I know you have a phenomenal formula, how you coach people through and take them through a process. And I know the number one question you probably get is, what do I name my book? Let's say we've got kind of the idea of the content. How do you teach people that? And what's your formula for success?
For naming your book, titling your book?
Titling your book. Yeah.
Yes, I have a title and subtitle formula.
Yep.
And it really, for any nonfiction book that you see on Amazon, any book really applies to this formula. And it's really that the title is the noun and the subtitle is the verb. And the title teaches how to the subtitle. So people are really, wow, that's really, but I know it's really quick what we're going through, but the title is the noun and the subtitle is the verb. So the verb is the action. When people read your book, they are going to be able to actually do that. That's the main takeaway. So they know, for example, let's use Seth Godin. One of his books called Permission Marketing. And the subtitle of his book is How to Turn Strangers into Friends and Friends into Customers. So by reading this book, you're going to discover how to turn strangers into friends and friends into customers. And so the subtitle of the book needs to really give people the action that's going to happen, what the change and transformation they're going to have in their life and business by reading your book.
Awesome. Now, what is that? Because I'm going to have this on the blog so people can actually go and take action immediately to do this. What can you just spell out what the formula is and give another example of maybe a current client that you've worked with?
Absolutely. Okay, so the title of your book is the noun and the subtitle is the verb. Yep. And so the formula is title teaches how to subtitle.
Perfect.
So you would take your title teaches how to subtitle. So there's an example, there's a book, a top bestseller out there called Half the Sky. So Half the Sky, and the subtitle is turning oppression into opportunity for women worldwide. So if you use the title formula, Half the Sky teaches how to turn oppression into opportunity for women worldwide.
Oh.
So that's a perfect example. And to use a client example, let's see. There are so many examples I have.
Put me on the spot here.
Oh, I have a perfect example. One I use a lot is I have a client, he's a mentor of mine as well. His name's Victor Chang. And the title of his book is Case Interview Secrets. And the subtitle is How to Get Multiple Job Offers in Consulting. So Case Interview Secrets teaches how to get multiple job offers in consulting.
Oh, it's brilliant. It keeps it simple. And I love because it's so benefit driven. Now with everybody going into the Amazon marketplace and a lot of self-publishing happening, I think what I've noticed too, a lot of trends and a lot of experts talk about this is people forgot who is buying the book on the other end of the table.
Yes.
It's a person. It's a real live being, and it's not just a cheap marketing tool. This is really for your business to get for you to connect with people. So I'd love for you to talk about now is what do you see with the trends? I mean, self-publishing for some authors, I know Tim Ferriss, the last book he launched was actually more digital downloads than ever before from his audience. And it's amazing what's happening in the shift of this digital age. So I'd love to see the trends you see with that and some tips and advice to help people really dominate on Amazon as more and more people are getting involved with it.
So great. As you said before, the publishing industry has really been turned on its head the last 5 to 10 years. And Amazon is actually publishing people like Tim Ferriss.
Yep.
And I think what we need to remember as not only consumers, but creators of content for Amazon is that Amazon's number one priority is to sell Kindle devices. That's their number one priority. So what do they need? They're selling all these Kindle devices. They need content. Mm-hmm. So Amazon wants our content. Now they're making it super, super easy for us to upload the content and to market the content, but we got to create the content. So that's the important thing to know. You got to create the content. But once we have it, Amazon makes it easy through their programs like CreateSpace, which is their print-on-demand company, mm-hmm. KDP Select, Kindle. They have Authors Rank. They have the bestsellers rank. They have Authors Central. So they have all of these programs and strategies where we can promote our content. Because again, they want to sell Kindle devices. They also want to sell their Amazon Prime membership, which is their monthly membership program, which gives people, yes, because they see that's their most scalable opportunity to sell their product and to sell their membership site.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest trend that's been happening. So really, it's about us as content creators to create content and really take advantage of the vast amount of, as you said, this 800-pound gorilla, mm-hmm. this explosive growth that Amazon has had in the last few years, and even in the last year, their ebook sales are up 70%.
Wow!
And so they have a vast audience, and we really have an opportunity to take advantage of this audience.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And I want to get into some more kind of your tips on Amazon. But first, do you think it's better for people to go the e-publishing route first with KDP and then go to CreateSpace or work with a publisher? Or what are your suggestions for people that haven't published yet but already have a book, maybe like me, like an ebook, or things that they're working on that they already have content for?
That's an interesting question, because when people attend Bestseller in a Weekend, they're like, is this for self-publishers? Mm-hmm. I've had plenty of people who have been agents and traditional publishers' interest, but they come to write their book. But for example, for you, I think the best way to go is to publish as an ebook and as a print-on-demand mm-hmm. concurrently. I think that's the best way to go. Awesome. And using that as a way to build your audience. And then when you have that audience, when you show a traditional publisher that you could, sell 20 to 30,000 books on your own, then I'm sure they'll show interest. But at that point, maybe you don't really need the traditional publisher.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant. There's a girl from my hometown who's just 26 that published her books and made $2.4 million just from her novels. And then she got a published.
Oh, wow.
She did. Yeah, she's Amanda Hogg. She's amazing. She's a fiction writer. It's so interesting and she lives in my hometown. It's this teeny little tiny town. And, you could do this wherever you're at in the world, which is so brilliant. But, so that's phenomenal advice. Now, what are the best niches to be in on Amazon? Because I know since there is so much traffic in there right now and people can not necessarily easily rank in their number one category, but it kind of, once you hit, sometimes you disappear. So what are the best categories to stay in? And I know you've got specific strategies for that as well. But what are your ideas on that?
Well, the good news is Amazon is creating categories all the time. And so the more niche the category, the better. Mm-hmm. So for example, like a category like self-help on Amazon is actually very competitive. Mm-hmm. And so you want to drill down even deeper than that. And otherwise you'll slip out really easily. But if you're in, green building or something very like feminist theory or something really very niche, mm-hmm. And then that's a really great place to be, because that's where your target audience is going to be. So you want to be where your buyers are going to be.
Right.
And so Amazon's creating these categories so we can sell more books, because as you mentioned, Amanda Hawking, when you find overall top 20 on Amazon, you find mostly fiction books.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You find political autobiographies, you find very mainstream books, fiction. So if you're a bestseller in, podcasting for business, mm-hmm. you're going to be in your particular category on Amazon, whether that's, online marketing or e-commerce, etc. And that's where you want to be. But is your book podcasting going to be an overall bestseller? It matters how mainstream it is.
Exactly. Okay. That's great advice. Now, I know with Amazon, you can pick two categories. Now, do you suggest because the biggest thing that I know you and I both are a big proponent of is just taking action, getting out there and doing it. And then you can change it as you go and build it as you fly it. But for people that are getting started, how do they research their categories the best to pick and get started? Because I know the title holds people back, and I'm sure like categories and things, all those questions are what hold people back as well.
That's the secret sauce there. You have to actually research, and go into Amazon and see who your competitors are. Use Google AdWords keyword tool to test your title and your subtitle and to see what books are coming up. Amazon's a search engine, so using keywords to search and see what books are coming up. It's surprising the amount of books published by traditional publishers that their clients' books are not in niche categories on Amazon. I find it, I'm just completely maddening almost that it's almost like they let their intern upload, the book, their clients' books on Amazon, but you'll see major published authors who aren't in niche categories because even traditional publishers don't know how to do this.
I know. And that's so true. I remember reading an article just middle of last year, it might have been the beginning of the CEO of Penguin. He was asked what the future of book publishing is, and he said it's a black cloud. Like, they have no idea what's going on right now. So that's phenomenal. Do your research and get it done right, and get a coach. I highly suggest that, having someone to guide you through that, because there are so many questions on it. So what are some tips that you can help authors right now, or aspiring authors, to get started and move forward right now, today?
Starting get forward today. Okay, first defining who their target audience is. Mm-hmm. What their target audience's pain point is, what's their headache, and how you solve it as a business owner, as an author, as an expert. So that's really determining what the topic of your book's going to be. And so testing that, asking, maybe sending out, if you have an email list or if you have a Facebook community, send an email out and say, hey, I'm thinking about writing a book. What do you think I should write about? Or I'm thinking about these 3 topics. How does that resonate with you? So just doing some market research, I think, would be the best place to start. And then actually just doing it, getting it done, hiring a coach, doing what needs to be done to get your book done.
Absolutely. Now, with the book publishing world, do you suggest that people have multiple book titles to rank in Amazon? Or, because I know with the Author Central now they're doing author ranking as well, like how many books you have as an author. What is your kind of strategy on that to help authors show up in Amazon if they're in maybe not the most popular niches to begin with?
Well, it's better to have, I always say, 4 100-page books than 1 400-page books, because you want to make sure you're very super niche, and that you don't write a huge book on social media, for example, social media 101, because that could be a 500-page book. It's better to be targeted. So social media for lawyers, or social media strategies for attorneys or lawyers, or for whatever you want to, going very super niche with either the target audience,
right,
or what their problem is. And so being very specific, I think, is a really important thing to do. And to have several books, as you were saying, so that you're the expert. And I've even written books I've done keyword searches and saying, wow, there's not even a product on this. So if I'm an expert and I feel like I could really authentically write about this subject, right, I will do it. For example, we're all hyphenates. We all have things on the side that we do. Mm-hmm. And one thing I do is I'm a hand model. So I'm a hand model. Yeah. And so I wrote, so I was like searching around on Amazon and Google, and there was nothing about hand modeling, even though it was a really high keyword search term on Google AdWords. And so I wrote a book. And I didn't use it. I was going to should I write a pseudonym? Should I? And I just put my name on it. I'm like, whatever. But it's just a little short book that goes through what you need and what I've used in terms of going and getting hand modeling jobs and booking them and all of that stuff. So,
that's great. And I didn't even think to talk about this, because that's brilliant, because there's so many things out there that people haven't written on that they can be the expert on. So do you think brevity, like shorter books, are the trend now, where people are wanting, 20, 30, 40 pages books versus these long novels? Because on the Kindle and on the phone, it's a whole different experience now than getting a physical book and reading it. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, because I think it's what the end goal is. What is your end goal? So if you want to give a book away for free on your website or for free on Kindle, definitely having a 20-page or less book is fine. If you want a book and you're going to sell it at the back of the room and you're going to use it as a way to secure keynotes, you definitely want a 100, 150, 200 page, properly endorsed, professionally published book. Okay. And so I think there's a range. There's some people who just want something up as a way to drive traffic to their website. There's some people who want it as a way to secure paid speaking, and maybe, you know, to become a consultant or a trainer for a Fortune 500 company, you're not going to, you know, give them a 20-page book. You want like something extensive, just to show that you are a professional in that way. So it's what you want is really the end goal. But I've put things up that are 10 pages, and then, you know, my book is 200 page. So I think it's a variety.
Okay.
So people want brief information. They want brevity.
Right.
They want you know, bullet points. They want action steps that they can take right now. So if you buy a book on hand modeling, you go there. It's like, what do you bring to a casting? What do you bring? You know, bam, 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 bam. You bring watches. You bring jewelry. You know, blah blah. And it gives them, you know, specific takeaways.
Yeah.
You don't need a 300-page book on it. So it would actually be a disservice.
Yeah. And that's brilliant too. And I love that, because that can get so many more people moving forward just with what they're passionate about, kind of test the waters out, get a book out there and have it done, and then move into more what they want as their expertise. So I think that's brilliant. And so what about the pricing model? Because I know there's a lot of debates about what to price Kindle books and this, and, you know, some authors have them really expensive. So I'm curious what the standard is, or not the standard, but the right way to price your book for Amazon.
Well, Kindle really dictates that. If you think about it, if you want to get 70% commissions on your book, you have to price it under $10. Mm-hmm. Why? Why do they do that? Because they want your content, and they want it easy, because they're selling their Kindles. So if all the books are over $50, then the Kindle people are like, you know, Kindle ebooks are so expensive. So Amazon wants you to price your books cheaper. Mm-hmm. And they actually want you to give them away for free.
Really? Okay.
As part of their KDP Select lending library. Yep. Where you have 90-day exclusivity, and you can give the book is given away for free, as part of that, you know, lending library. Because again, Amazon's looking for their best interest, and that's to sell Kindle devices. Yep. So at the end of the day, I price all my books under $10, and usually kind of the magic number I always go to is $2.99. Okay. And there's no rhyme and reason. There's been kind of debate, and that's the best selling point. That's like the hot spot is $2.99. Okay. And I think that's the in terms of getting 70%, you have to price it between $2.99 and $9.99. Okay. That great, awesome advice. Now, with people getting started with their books and getting started, what's the construct of a good book that's going to get people involved and then take them offline from the Kindle into their business? What's your training on that, and how to help people with that? Well, you want your books to be good, and there's lots of definitions of good. So there's entertaining good. Mm-hmm. There is, wow, you know what? I went to this page and I got the 5 things that I needed to start a business, to become a hand model, to cure my back pain. There's that good, where it's like, it's brief, it's to the point, and you solve someone's problem. Mm-hmm. As going back, I said what your target audience, what their pain point, and how you solve it. Yep. And so that's a good book. Yeah. Even if it's 2 pages, it's like, if I solve my problem in 2 pages, I don't need the other 300 pages. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So there's entertaining. There is answering people's problems, solving people's problem. There's the whole story aspect, which is, of course, the entertainment and relating. That creates a good book. The whole word of mouth marketing, someone who's so influenced by your book that they spread the word. So I would say a bad book would be a book that you don't solve people's problems, that you waste their time. Right. That it's not entertaining, that there's a lot of typos and misspellings, it's hard to read, it's poorly formatted. That's what I would say. So to me, this whole, a lot of people are, what if my book's not good enough? If you solve someone's problem, I would buy a 1-page book for $300 if it solved my problems, one of my problems. So I'm very fluid when it comes to what good is. Yeah, no, and I love that too, where you say, get clear on who your target market is, because that's the most important part. I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of people start their business and think everybody is their client, which is exactly not what we want to do. So, and I've done the same. I've bought books that are super teeny for $5, but they saw exactly, it was pinpoint. I knew exactly what to do within 5 minutes of reading the book. And I was like, this is it. Perfect. And you can move on with it. So I think that's brilliant. So back to when you've got your book published, you've got it, not published yet, but how do you get the great endorsements for the book? What are your strategies on doing that? I have a sample endorsement, a query letter. Okay. And what I do is I take that with the cover of your book, And that's really a query letter to just gauge people's interest to see if they would mind reviewing and endorsing your book. And you do that even before your book is finished. Even before it's finished, you just get their, initial get interest. Mm-hmm. And then when your book is done, you can send the PDF version of your book, really, telling them that it is getting ready for publish, and here's an advanced reading copy of my book. And that's a perfect way. So you gauge their interest first, but what you need to do in this letter is show them how they're going to benefit by reviewing and endorsing your book.
Perfect. Oh, I love it. Now, you have really helped a lot of authors become best-selling authors as well through different strategies. So I'd love for you to share there's so much we can't go over on this call, obviously, on how the how-tos and get it all done. But what's kind of one path that you've been able to help people become best-selling authors with their books?
One path is to make sure that they are categories appropriately on Amazon, that they're in the right categories, that they can be found. Your book is only as good as if it's found. Mm-hmm. And if you have a title that's not keyword specific, and I see this all the time where people think they have a great title, but no one will find their book because you want to make sure we live in a search economy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people are searching, and if your book's not coming up, if your book is about how to get pregnant when you're over 40 or whatever it is, and it's not coming up, then it's not going to be found. I've seen this happen before, and it doesn't matter how cute your title is, you want to make sure that you're found.
Right.
Online. So the categories, make sure your title and subtitle are keyword specific, really giving people an incentive to purchase your book on a particular day. Using your book to get on TV. A TV appearance can make you a bestseller. Someone promoting you on their blog can make you a bestseller in your category at Amazon. So it's really interesting, but it's really targeted campaigns around your book once your book comes out.
Oh, brilliant. I love that. So, you've worked with so many different authors all over the board. What are the common mistakes that you have kind of deduced that people make when they start their book and launch their book?
Analysis paralysis, I would say. This thing that, it's got to be perfect. And to me, being first to market is really important. Once you get a great title and subtitle, getting there, owning that niche, and writing that book, and then you can keep on improving on it. Mm-hmm. But sitting around and waiting for years to get that book out, I think that's a really big problem. And not thinking and not having confidence in yourself, whether, I'm not an expert, or what if it's not good enough. For every product, there is a client out there, I believe. And you mentioned when you want everyone to be your client, that's where you go wrong, because when you appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one.
Right.
So really focusing in on a target niche, what's their what's their pain point, and how you solve it as a business owner. Again, just worrying about that target audience, not trying to solve all the world's problems.
Right. Okay. So tell us about how to get, because you've crafted a program that literally gets people publishing a book in 3 days. I have clients that tell me, Kris, I've 7 years and I still don't have my book out there. How do you do this? Tell us about that and how you're able to transform people in, 72 hours. It's amazing.
I created Bestseller in a Weekend because of excuses, actually, because I would find that when I was talking to people, it's like they either didn't have enough time, they didn't know what to write about, but they wanted the benefits of writing a book. They really wanted to write a book, but they came with all these excuses. And I'm like, what if I just solve their problems right here?
Yeah.
And that's why I created Bestseller in a Weekend, which, as you mentioned, is a 3-day live workshop. Could take it from anywhere in the world. I do it once a month, live. And it works is it's a 3-day live workshop that I created to take people from idea to author in record time. We have a 5-step process. We're creating your topic of your book, the title and the subtitle. We are creating your table of contents. We actually create the book content during the weekend, which is equivalent to 20,000 words, which is approximately equivalent to a 100-page book. I've had people write 137-page books. I've had people write 84-page books. It's, it's definitely, it varies based on who you are. But it's really, what you do is you actually leave the weekend with a draft book manuscript and all the strategies that you need to get it up on Amazon and to make it a bestseller. I've had people upload their book up right after the weekend, become a bestseller. I've had people, maybe the traditional people who are traditionally publishing, take the manuscript script they created, they add to it, they work with their agent, and then they publish it that way. So it's really for anyone who wants to self-publish or traditionally publish.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I love it. Just getting in there, taking action, getting it done. And because that's the biggest part, I think, with book. For me, I'm a speaker, so writing is very cumbersome for me. So it's like, oh, I got to sit down and write that blog post. Oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I'll do it later. So I love that, how you get in there. And a lot of what you teach too is having them speak their book, which is phenomenal. So talk about that.
That's part of the 5-step process. So we determine your topic, we determine your chapters, we determine the interview questions based on supporting the topic of your book. And then we really speak your book out, and it's a transcription process. So it's a dictation and transcription, which is one of the fastest ways to create book content. Now I have other strategies that we do out the weekend with interviewing people, interviewing topic matter experts, case studies. So interviewing those people to really support the content that you created.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I'm so excited. I'm actually going through with your course here in the next week or two. So I'm excited to go through that process, because I've already written books, but there's a lot of little things that now I'm noticing, oh, I should have done this differently or this differently. And so I'm really excited about that. So for people that are interested in that, we can go through it together. But I want to totally shift gears now, and I want to shift into your expertise of actually launching a business that is scalable, because a lot of people right now are realizing the internet is where the real estate is at going forward.
Yep.
And it's like, what do we do? So I know you and I are both a huge fan of webinars, but you launched with live events, and I'd love for you to talk about that, and then we'll transition into the webinar platform. But how did you get into the live platform and be so successful at it right away? Because I think some people are the opposite. They're scared of live events, and they're doing just only online marketing. So I'd love for you to kind of, your takeaways on that and how you built that.
That is so interesting. Now, I told you I wrote a book, and I started with a seminar. And that's the first way I was introduced to the one-to-many model.
Right.
But really, after the seminar, I went back to one-on-one. So I was doing one-on-one consulting.
Okay.
And how I was really, I would say, it was a sustainable business. It wasn't a scalable business.
Right.
It was sustainable in the fact that I was charging $60,000 packages that would include like ghostwriting, etc. But it would be, but I'd get one person to sell 60,000. I decided instead of that model, I'd rather lower my prices and have more people. So I kind of played around with that. But the thing that's really interesting is I started my business when the economy bottomed out, and being a single mother, owning real estate in San Francisco. So I had my hustle on. And
full hustle.
I had my full hustle on, and I actually sold Bestseller in a weekend before I even created it.
Yeah.
And there's that whole process that you test something before you create it. A lot of entrepreneurs, I've had people spend, a year, 2 years just putting up a website. And tweaking the colors and does my face look good in this picture or whatever. Right. And you know what? I was all about launching, making money, and then going back and, cleaning things up.
Right.
Tweaking things up. So when I created Bestseller in a weekend, I was on a stage in front of about 50 women, and I basically came up with it as I was talking, and I sold it. So I said, wow, I sold it. So now I must deliver. And so my first weekend was really delivering it. I've done it before. So I was doing the one-on-one. So it's not, and I self-published. So I had plenty of client testimonials and success stories on publishing because I was doing the consulting.
Right.
But in terms of the one-to-many and doing it over the weekend, that was all something new, and I created it as it happened, and it was a success. I have plenty of people who attended my first weekend workshop who are still with me in my mastermind.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important because since we shifted the topic to business, I think it's important for people out there to say, instead of tweaking with their website for 2 years and shucking and jiving, to go out and sell. And to sell first and then create, because you can create based on your client feedback. And that's what I did during the weekend. They said, we need more of this, we need more of this. And then you course correct during that. And so I've went from live weekend workshops where I would have up to 20 people in a workshop. And what I found through, again, product and market research is that I was talking to people from Japan. I got emails from Thailand, New Zealand, Australia, Germany, South Africa, and I was trying to sell them bestseller in a weekend, and they said jumping on a plane is just not really something that's going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to work. It's too expensive. It's not green. It's, it's
yeah.
And when they can do it online, do you have a webinar? And then I said, you know what? I got to change this.
Yeah.
And then I worked with our friend Lewis Howes, and he helped me do that. So now I can do the same thing I was doing live for people who would come to San Francisco. Now I can do it for hundreds of people. And what I think is even more exciting is the community that is coming around the project and the process. And so that's what's really awesome. So it's this sharing community, because what's happening is, as business owners, we not only want to create a scalable product or business, but we also want to create something that's easy for people to share. Because we are not only a search economy, we're in a share economy, and people are sharing. And so what I'm finding is that my clients who attend Bestseller in a weekend, they're doing it, they're writing their book, and they're telling their friends, you got to take this.
Yep. That's brilliant.
So that's the challenge I have for everyone out there. Have they created something that, first of all, can they be found online? Have they created something that is that they can take from a one-to-one model to a one-to-many model, where they can really, what I'm doing here, what you and I are doing, is we're not just talking amongst ourselves. We're going to be podcasted, of course, to hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people. But also, are they creating something that is easy to share? And what I say a lot is, when we start off with Bestseller in a Weekend, one thing it's important for my clients to create a book that is really deep and rooted in their business. And the first thing we do is my expert elevator pitch. And that's really honing in on who you are, how you help people, and what results happen by you working with. And if you don't have that clear, quick, and concise, if that's not something really that comes off your lips, this is who I am, this is how I help people, then I always say that a confused prospect doesn't buy, and a confused colleague doesn't refer. So if you're not easy to share, then you're making it really hard for people to share your story, your message, and that's it.
Oh, no, it's brilliant, because that's exactly, especially now as we get more ADD in our society and so many more people out there with different products and services, you have to create that tribe that you've already created, but then make it, I love that, simple, easy to share, to the message, the story just translates, and it just keeps moving and flowing as it should. And I think that's brilliant. And I love how what you've created was based on demand of, what you wanted to create. Because it sounds like more it was based on, okay, one-on-one, it's great, but it's not the scalability of how to help more people, from one-to-one to millions, which is brilliant. And I like how you went from live into digital, and it can be either or. It can be, because it's interesting, because I did the same thing. I launched my product without having it done. I did one-on-one consulting, and then I was like, I want to take this to a larger audience, but you didn't quite have it built yet, and you just sold it. I think it's brilliant. Now, I want you to share a little bit about that, because we've heard this a lot recently, and if you're new to this concept, it works. It's amazing. But I know people are scared, and I know I was that way. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous to share this if I don't have it all built yet. What are your thought process on, because you went through this live on Creative Live, really, with your first digital product, even though you already had it all put together. So what are your steps in helping people overcome that fear to hold people back?
Selling before they have it all.
Yes, exactly.
It's so funny. I think because I started my business in a down economy and being a single mom, I just busted through fear.
Right.
So there's that, but that's me, and I know there's people holding them back. And really what you do is you sell the benefits, and you just got to darn make sure that you follow up on them and you make happy clients.
Right.
And so that's really important. And so for me, with when I sold it from the stage, when I first started the live thing, I just sold, because I knew what the benefits were, that people wanted to write a book, and they wanted to write it quickly. Right. And they wanted to learn how to become a bestseller, and they want to make more money in their business. I knew what they wanted. So that's what I sold. And then I made sure I delivered on it. Right. And all my clients that attended those weekends, they are speaking. I had one client speak at the United Nations in the past couple of weeks, speaking in Washington, D.C., selling out their seminars, keynote speaking, people who've gone from, trading hours to dollars to really significant careers in the direction they want to. It's like I say, when you work with me, you get on the momentum train and you just keep on going. There's no looking back. You keep on moving forward. So, but even going back to your question, what I did with Lewis Howes, that was breaking through some fear, because I think I was in a comfort zone of doing live, and I was like, how am I going to do this? So I had to break through some fear, and I think we sold it. We sold it before, and I delivered upon it. I gave a 30-day money-back guarantee. People knew it was a beta course, so they knew there was going to be a little bit of, so we had some technology things go on with webinars, and I was just learning how to operate in that space. And I learned from that. Everything's a learning process. I believe the process perfects. Right. And we don't know until we test it. It needs to be tested by fire, essentially, and you need to be tested in the moment. And then when you see that, oh, that's a hiccup, something messed up, then that becomes part of your documentation, your standard operating procedures. Oh, this happened. Like, one thing that happened during my first one was people didn't get emails. Emails were going into their spam. And so I had to contact my email provider. What's going on here? Oh, then I had to figure out why it was getting in their spam. So those are the type of things you learn, and then you put the procedures in place to make sure, because you actually want things to break. Because the thing is, you can't plan for everything. Doesn't matter how much a control freak you are, you can't plan for everything. And so when things break, it's like, it gives you a great learning opportunity.
Yeah, it really does. And you just keep perfecting it as you go. And and I love that. You want it to break. You want the stuff to happen. And especially early on, when you don't have like hundreds of thousands of people with you. So I think that's great. So what's the next evolution of Alicia Dunams with your programs?
Oh, wow. I would say, jump on fast, because I'm going to raise my prices. No, let's see.
Which you deserve. Absolutely.
I'm going to go. So definitely, there's a lot of exciting things happening for me. Bestseller in a Weekend is going to continue, but I think the evolution of Alicia Dunams, that's going to be my album, like Alicia Keys, the evolution. Evolution Alicia Dunams. I'm doing a TV show right now for my daughter, and and then I'm turning my book into a reality TV show, so I'm learning that whole process. Okay. And what else am I doing? I'm helping my clients just live amazing lives, and I'm going to Book Expo America. We're doing book launch parties. We're doing virtual book launch parties. So there's just a lot of activities. I've been doing retreats. I'm going to do another live retreat with my clients. And I just like my clients just taking it up a notch and living at their highest, just their highest being in terms of success. And so I have clients writing pitches for me, because I'm in talks with all of these production companies. It's like, hey, can you turn your book into reality TV? Let me go help you. So it's awesome. So lots of amazing stuff, networking, just operating on a higher level, not operating. I definitely started my business out of such need. As I mentioned, people who started their business in 2008 was definitely out of need. And now I'm in a place where I can do things I really enjoy. Oh, I love that. I think it's brilliant. And I think that's a lot of evolution with entrepreneurs. I started my real estate business back then, and it was the worst time to actually get involved with it. But, you don't know what you don't know sometimes. But taking it and moving forward and just taking action, I think is brilliant in what you've created. So what are some last pieces of advice that you can share for experts, coaches, new people that are wanting to be authors, or even just online marketers and business owners? Wow. Okay. So definitely, as you mentioned, this is the new real estate, is to get your tribe, your community, and start an online business. That's what I would say. You need products. So do not trade hours for dollars. The one-on-one model is a viable model, but it's a model that really has limitations in terms of the global economy. So we're not in the search economy, the share economy. We're in the global economy. So if you want clients in South Africa and Thailand, how are you going to get them your product or service? That's a question I have for you. How are you going to get that to them? So that's what you need to ask yourself, because they can't maybe come to your seminar in a weekend, whether it's in San Francisco or wherever you live. But they also, can you provide them your service? And also, I think it is, how do you want to, what's kind of the legacy that you want to leave also? And I think for me, the biggest question was, I want to reach more people. I want to create more leaders. One of the after effects and the outcomes of Bestseller in a Weekend, I thought I was just helping people write books, and it was simple as that. But what I'm finding is that my clients are going on and doing huge things, like things that I'm blown away. Speaking for the UN, speaking in DC, like creating nonprofits, doing Kickstarter campaigns. So what I'm finding is, I thought it was just like, okay, we'll write a book, and but what I'm finding is they're doing life-changing things. And so what is your legacy?
Yeah. I love that. What is your legacy? What do you want to leave behind, and what can you create? And it just starts from taking action and getting out there. So thank you so much. This was phenomenal. We had a lot of great content, and there's so much more out there. So I'm going to have all of Alicia's details over at KrisGilbertson.com. And you can find out everything on the blog for Alicia. And then if you want to go through her course, the Bestseller in Weekend, if you want to go through it with me, head over to KrisGilbertson.com/Amazon. It's that simple. And we'll have all the details, all the resources that Alicia had over in the blog. And thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to having you back for some more killer interviews.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'd love to get your feedback here for the Lifestylepreneur podcast right in iTunes. Simply leave us a 5-star and a review, letting us know what you like, who you're interested in hearing more from, and what topics you really want help with in your business, that I can bring on those key experts to really fine tune and help you in your business and creating the lifestyle of your dreams. And I'll be giving shout outs, so make sure you put your name and your website address if you want me to share that with the community as well. And again, thanks for listening. I'm so excited that you found the Lifestylepreneur podcast, and I can't wait to connect with you and learn more about your business as we continue to grow this community. So again, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Lifestylepreneur podcast. Again, I'm Kris Gilbertson, and I'm committed to bringing you top training from leading lifestylepreneurs all over the world to help you break through and turn your dreams into your ideal lifestyle. And make sure to join us at www.lifestyleacademy.com to receive VIP training from specific guests I interview on the show, so that you can really easily start to implement what you've learned from listening. I know we're all busy, and sometimes we don't have time to listen to the entire podcast or take notes, because I'm always listening on the go. So I like to call it the Lifestyle Cliff Notes to creating your ideal business and make it really simple for you. So those will be sent via the email list. Plus, I also want to connect with you personally, and being on the Lifestyle Academy mailing list is where all the magic happens. We'll host VIP trainings once a month that we can't always bring out on the podcast with even more detailed information. And I also want to connect with you personally. I want to know what's going on in your business and what you need help with, and who I can bring on to aid you in creating your ideal lifestyle. And so I'll be asking questions every once in a while that I want you to reply, and I reply back to you personally. So again, until next time, wishing you on your way to achieving all of your dreams. Talk to you soon.